Welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. Today we got to do a rear tire on a 2012 Road Glide. Street Glide, Road King, Road Glide of this year range, they're all going to be the same. This is the same for 2009 all the way up to 2016, maybe even newer. Very similar across the board. It's the same tools. The only thing that's different is torque specs. I've done a video on a front tire, which I'll link in the description and in the card somewhere up at the top. So that way you can knock out both of them if that's what you're trying to do. Save some money by bringing just the wheel to the shop, or do the whole thing in your driveway. I don't know. I've done my own tires in my driveway, balanced them on a makeshift stand. So whatever, let's jump right into it. I'm probably gonna do a voiceover because I can get long-winded and we need to speed things up because I'm hungry and I'm trying to get some dinner tonight. So let's jump right into it. So first things first, pop our saddlebags off and we're gonna set them in a spot where they're not gonna get scratched. Pretty simple. If you own the bike, you probably already know how to do this. All right, so next up, we're gonna put a jack underneath the motorcycle. I've already done this step. If you're not confident with doing that, you probably should not do your own tires. Next up, you want to take a flathead and we're going to pop off the circlip retaining ring on the actual axle. Next up, you're going to need 5/16 Allen wrench. Probably not going to be able to see that. And for this bike, I'm going to use a long handled ratchet. I want to break our caliper hardware loose. All right, so here's where the voiceover is going to start. Right now I'm taking the caliper bolts out of the rear caliper and I'm going to remove the side cover to make it a little bit more easy to maneuver the brake line that goes to the rear caliper out of the way. Now, removing the rear brake caliper can sometimes be a pain. Sometimes you might need a flat object to actually spread the pads away from the rotor so you can get a little bit more room. If you're going to do that, I would recommend using something soft, probably something plastic, that's not going to damage the actual brake pads while you try to work the caliper off of the rotor. Now we're going to break the axle nut loose. Currently I'm using a 36mm, but an 1 7/16 will also work. Once you get the axle nut broken loose, you can spin the nut all the way off and set it down in a safe spot. Don't lose this. Working our way back to the left side of the bike, we're going to loosen the axle to take out the belt adjustment. You want to roll the axle until you get to the flat spot on the cam. That way the wheel is as far forward as it can possibly go. Now from here you're going to have a little bit of a back and forth depending on how you set your jack up. I was able to slide the axle out a little bit and then I had to lift the bike up a little bit more. A tip that I like to do is by grabbing the top of the wheel and kind of tilting it towards the left side of the bike, it'll allow you to get the axle underneath that bag rail right there. You can take the bag rail off, it just seems a little bit unnecessary and a waste of time. So after lowering the bike a little bit, I was able to slide the axle the rest of the way out. Sometimes you got to wiggle the tire like you just saw there, or lift and lower the bike using the jack. After you get the axle out of the bike, you can slip the belt off of the pulley. You need to have the belt off before you start jacking the bike up any further. Now that you're able to move the wheel around a little bit more freely, you can get your spacers out. Make sure that you keep them on their relative sides. They are side specific. On these model bikes, it is physically impossible to put them in the wrong spot. Now you can take your rear brake caliper bracket off of the bike and make sure that you have your caliper in a safe spot. Now back on the left side of the bike, we're going to remove the pulley from the wheel. It's just held in by the rubber cushions. You sometimes got to hold the belt out of the way and just kind of get this out of there without scratching it. I like to remove these wheels from the right hand side of the bike. It makes it a little bit easier. I tend to just kick the bottom of the tire out towards the right, but you'll see here in a second that I did not have the jack up high enough. You do have to lift these bikes up pretty high. Just be aware, make sure that your front end is stable and it's not going to have an ability to roll forward. Take your cushion drive, put it in a safe spot. If you're taking this wheel to a shop, I would suggest removing the pulley and the cushion drive. Even if you have a wheel with a solid pulley, I would suggest removing that because sometimes it gets in the way of the actual tire machine. Depends on what shop you're going to, who's doing the work, personal preferences. But yeah, so now I'm going to break this tire down, throw on a new Shinko 999, and then we're going to go right back up on the bike. Same way as coming out. Slip it right back up in there. Now we're gonna put our cushions back in. And while we're at it, might as well do the pulley as well. I need some more light. There we go. All right. So then we're just gonna roll the wheel forward as far as possible, and we're gonna bring the bike down. So as you'll see, gotta lower the bike back down. Before we get too far, just like that. Take your spacer, slip it in there between the swing arm and the pulley, and we're going to see how close I actually am. And now, just like coming off, I'm gonna lift the bike up a little bit so I get some wiggle room with the wheel. And then I'm going to lift the wheel up a little bit. Just like that, to slip it underneath the bag rail. You kind of just locate the flat spot and get it as close as possible. Back on the right hand side of the bike, we're going to start with our brake caliper bracket, and then we're going to work our spacer in between the bearing and the caliper bracket. The spacer itself can be a little bit of a pain sometimes. Just takes a little bit of finesse and wiggling around. I fought with this one for a couple minutes, but eventually got it just like that. And right here you can see how you have to get everything aligned. You need to have the spacer aligned and the caliper bracket aligned, and then you got to move the wheel around, lift or lower the bike depending on how you're set up. That way you can get the axle into the swing arm, allowing you to put the adjuster back on and the nut. Now you can slip your caliper back onto the rotor and then loosely install your bolts. Now we're going to set our initial belt tension. I do this just to make sure that the wheel is straight, and I do it by feel until I go grab the tool and do an actual adjustment. Just rotating the axle and checking the belt tension as you go along. There's a link to where you can find this tool in the description below. As you can see in this chart down here for FLHX and FLTRX, we're looking for 1/4 inch to 5/16. I always go 3/8 on the street glides and the road glides. 1/4 inch seems too tight, 5/16 seems too loose. 3/8 always just feels just right. Now your final rear axle torque is 95 to 105 foot-pounds. I'm a midway kind of guy. I always go 100. So you'll see right here when the torque wrench lights up red, that's how you know I'm torqued. And then we're going to torque the rear brake caliper. Now your rear brake caliper mounting bolts are between 43 and 48. I go 45. You can go whatever you want, really. Just make sure you torque them in that range. All right, so that's how you change the rear wheel on your Street Glide, Road Glide, or Road King from 09 and up. The only difference between 09 to 16 and up is the torques. That's it, and the way you adjust the rear axle and the belt tension. That's the only real difference. Other than that, this applies to every single Harley touring bike. I really hope this helps you guys out. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If this helped you out, let me know. I really appreciate the support and the love from you guys. So anyway, ride safe, ride smart. You guys keep the rubber side down. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.